indeed. Thank you, Trace. A new weekly jobs report is out this morning showing 837,000 Americans filed for unemployment claims last week. That is a big number, but it is less than what was predicted by analysts, and it is an improvement from the previous week. The Dow is reacting, opening higher this morning as we head into the final quarter of 2020, October 1st. Here we go, Dow up 165 points. Let's bring in Jason Furman, former Obama Economic Council chairman and professor of the practice of economic policy at Harvard. Jason, always appreciate having you on the program. You always bring a very unique perspective. First, to that new number on the economy, what does it tell us? 837,000 filed for unemployment claims last week. And I can tell you that that is now the lowest that they have been since the pandemic struck the economy back in March.
Yeah, that's a lot better than we were in March. It's also very high relative to anything we ever saw before March. This is a number you would normally see in a pretty bad recession. So a lot of people are still losing jobs, but a lot of people are still gaining jobs too. The economy is just very turbulent right now.
So I'll reference back to a conversation you and I had back in April and again in May. We were talking about you meeting with I believe it was a Zoom meeting of bipartisan business leaders, where you suggested that we are going to come so sharply out of the economic depression from this pandemic that it is going to benefit Donald Trump near Election Day. So based on the number that we just put up on the screen, better than expected, certainly showing some promising signs of a recovery, do you still hold that theory that the economy is recovering so sharply it'll benefit President Trump in the election?
Yeah, I mean, my view is that the economy would recover very sharply, but the recovery wouldn't get all the way there. So on Election Day, Donald Trump's going to be able to say, look at the millions and millions of jobs created. And Joe Biden's going to be able to say, look, the unemployment rate is, 8% or whatever we find out it'll be tomorrow. I think both sides have a good argument. I think that's probably why no one's voting overly on the economy right now, and there's so many other issues.
Obviously the Trump campaign, the White House can make the case. I mean, this is a pandemic, and this is a very unusual, historic circumstances for our economy. So it's important, isn't it, to take into account where the economy was before the pandemic hit. Pre-pandemic, under the Trump administration, 5.5 million jobs were added. We go back to the Obama economy, 1.2 million jobs were added in Obama's first term in office. So by comparison, isn't President Trump doing better on the economy than the Obama years?
I mean, that's a pretty absurd comparison when there were 800,000 jobs lost in February 2009. I'm not sure that was Barack Obama's
But you're comparing the pandemic, so I thought it was fair.
But I mean, I think it's a little bit silly to play these games because so much of what goes on in the economy, I think, is about American businesses, American workers. But if you want to play the game, no
games. Those are data points. So to that point, Joe Biden is suggesting raising the corporate tax rate. I mean, how does that affect an economy, especially at a time where we're certainly going to, if he becomes president in November or is elected in November, how does that help us recover from this economic hit that we've taken?
If you look, some of the major investment banks, Goldman Sachs, for example, took a look at the Biden economic plan and said it would raise economic growth over the next few years because it would do a lot more to stimulate the economy. Overall, the tax plan would bring average tax collections to about where they were under President Clinton. The economy did certainly perfectly fine then, so I'm not worried about his tax plan, and I like his overall economic plan.
Okay, but I'll ask you again more specifically about the corporate tax rate in just a second. But you look, again, pre-pandemic Trump economy, you had the unemployment rate in February dipped to 3.5% in this country. It's hard to make the case that this president hasn't been good for the economy. You've got businesses that feel that they were in a very business-friendly environment. Does Joe Biden's plan make or result in a business-friendly environment? I'll go back to my question about the corporate tax rate.
I mean, when the corporate tax plan passed, the administration promised we were going to get to 3% economic growth. We fell way short of that for the next 2 years after it, Sandra. So why are you lowering the bar, lowering the standards? I heard people on your channel over and over again talking about 3% growth, 3% growth. He never got it. He never got close to it. In fact, he had growth rates lower than we saw under the last 4 years of President Obama. So I don't think there was any type of, the economy was perfectly good before the pandemic. Grant you that. Nothing miraculous, nothing special. Didn't improve after the tax cuts.
What kind of growth are you forecasting for a potential Biden administration?
I think we'll see a growth rate of around 2%. And I think we'd see a growth rate of around 2% if Trump got a second term. And that's because we have a lot of demographic challenges in the U.S. economy as workers are getting older. And, that's just a fact that I think we should accept the reality of.
I didn't even get to any of my call fors here because we got so into that conversation. We'll have to have you back. Jason Furman, great to have you here. Thank you.